What's going on, guys? I'm back with another one. And you know good and damn well, I just finished watching Wonder Woman 1984, starring Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, and Kristen Wiig. First of all, it's no huge, big secret that Wonder Woman Part 1, which I like to call it, was probably one of the better films for the DC's new era. Well, there was the Joker, but none of them are topping that. All right, not right now. None of them are topping that. But besides the Joker, Wonder Woman Part 1 just had the action. It had the humor. It had a decent plot. Unlike the other ones. All right. It had a charisma about itself that you're not going to get from Aquaman. You're not going to get from Justice League. And you're absolutely, definitely not going to get from Batman versus Superman or Superman versus Batman, whatever, however that goes. You're not getting it from that crap. Trust me. No. With that said, does Wonder Woman 1984 have potential to be the perfect follow-up for Wonder Woman Part 1? We're going to answer that in this review. So let's get to it. Wonder Woman 1984. And I'm not even going to waste your time or boggle you down with even asking the question if you're aware or not, because this is all over the place. Even if you don't like comic books or know nothing about them, you still know that there's a Wonder Woman 1984 movie out. Okay, so I'm not going to play around with you. Wonder Woman 1984. It's pretty much a time in good old Diane's life, based in the 80s, of course, where she's just trying to keep a low profile as Wonder Woman. And at the same time, shine a little bit as Diane and still save lives. All the while, she's still, for the lack of a better word, pining over her ex. All right, but she's holding up for the better part. Now, while she thinks she's holding up, she happens to bump into this artifact that has the abilities to grant wishes. So, of course, she grants her wish unknowingly. Then the new girl at work, Barbara, grants her wish. And then somebody you don't want granting wishes. Somebody you don't want granting anything, for that matter. The villain, Maxwell Lord, grants his wish. He's a con artist of sorts. A guy that will do anything to get to the top. And he just happened to get a hold of this. And not only did he grant his wish, he made himself the human embodiment of this artifact. So as you can imagine, that's where the movie kicked off. And that's where the premise is from. Positives. And I believe I mentioned this in my Marvel vs. DC video from a while back. But I'm going to mention it again because it needs to be heard. DC has the top-notch choreographed fighting scenes of any superhero genre ever. I'm sorry, Marvel, when it comes to fighting scenes, DC has it on lock. You do not have them beat there. You have some interesting ones, but DC just brings it every time. Now, even though in this one it's a little more limited than the first Wonder Woman, But still, every time, I swear, I even saw somebody throw a punch or sound like they're about to start a fight, my eyes were locked to that screen immediately. I did not want to look away from that screen because I knew I was about to get some one-on-one live fight material right there. That's how good their fight scenes are, and it was no lack with this. Just a lack of number of fight scenes, though, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now, it's going to lead me into this. I really enjoyed Kristen Wiig's character, aka Cheetah, aka Barbara / Minerva, whatever you want to call her. I like that they brought this character into the DC cinematic universe, and the development of the character from a low confident, nerdy, jealous of Wonder Woman type individual to a woman who was crazed off of confidence. All right, she couldn't see anything else but confidence in herself. Also, at the same time, bring in some humor. You know, Kristen Wiig had to bring the humor with it. She had to bring the funny. Not too much funny, I understand, but still, she probably was the funniest character in the movie. As a matter of fact, every time she had her scene, there was something that I could at least chuckle a little bit about. All right, so I really enjoyed Kristen Wiig's character for this movie. Another thing, the end. I enjoyed the end, and I don't mean it like that, like, oh, it's over. I'm glad. I enjoyed a certain part of the end. There's a certain part of the end of this movie that was a definite tearjerker. All right, and I didn't expect them to get me to feel like that when this scene came, too. But it made me feel like that. It really did. Eyes were watering and everything. I cannot say what happened exactly, but it was pretty good. It was pretty dang good. I always appreciate when the emotions come out, and they did just that. The end was not perfect, by the way, but at least that one part. All right. Also, if you are a big Wonder Woman fan, or you just have some idea of DC Comics, period, there is a certain thing that the Wonder Woman does in this movie that she didn't do in part one that probably will get you a little excited. Not like that. Get your mind out the gutter. I'm talking about excited that you get to see something that was canon to the comic books or canon to any shows, old TV shows she's had in the past. Something like that. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? It's been made fun of so many times. And then you're finally going to get to see it. Get ready for that. Get ready for that. I appreciated that part as well. All right. Now, those are the parts I enjoyed about the movie. Let's get to those negatives. Whew. First of all, like I said about the action, there was a lack of action in this movie. Obviously, it didn't have the action it had from part one. And I was irritated with that. Because for the few action scenes you had, your first action scene was so damn corny. It was so cheesy. I know it's based in the 80s, but you don't have to do it like that. All right, this felt like one of those B-rated Toxic Avenger movies. Once again, I'm bringing this guy up, but it felt like that when you'll know what I'm talking about when the movie begins. All right, that was so stupid. It was so stupid, and it could have been left out. There's things you can cut or put to the cutting room floor. All right, if you need to, don't worry. That was one of them. All right. Another thing that I have to mention about this I do not like Pedro Pascal's character. There were two villains in this movie, Cheetah and Maxwell Lord. He was the lower denominator. He was the lower denominator in this movie. Okay, I really did not care about his character. I mean, making yourself the human embodiment of something that can grant wishes was a pretty cool idea. Okay, they had a great idea, but they could not maneuver. They could not execute this idea in the right way. It got to a point where the wish granting thing got really silly. It got silly as hell. And I started to lose interest. I actually fell asleep a few times. Anytime his scenes came up. I started to fall asleep. I had to rewind this movie a couple of times to catch everything. Because of him. Because of his character alone. That vibe was killed. Plus, the plot. The plot is extremely weak. Even weaker than the first movie. I don't know what they were doing with this. But I don't care about the deals that he was making and all this other stuff. And I don't know where it was going. I just needed to see more action. I really just needed to see. That would have saved this movie so much. Just give me more action. Because this plot was so weak. You're starting to remind me of Aquaman with this. Don't do that. And it makes Pedro Castell, whatever it is, it will be at the bottom of the screen. It makes him look bad, man, for this one. Because he was doing a good job. You might know him as Oberyn Martell from Game of Thrones. All my Game of Thrones heads. But this, if you're looking to watch this movie for him, don't. It just was so out of place. He was so out of place. His character development was out of place. It didn't make any sense. I think because of him and his character, a huge portion of the movie was ruined. For me, at least. A huge portion, man. And that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot, I know. So with that in mind, and this was hard to do, I'm going to have to give this an I. Yes, and just an I. It's really bad when you have to compare the two. And it's going to hurt you. This movie got the sequel curse. Let's put it like that. It got the sequel curse. Really bad. Okay? I warn you, if you want to go still see this movie. If you have the ability to fast forward, watch all the action scenes. All right? Watch all the scenes with Kristen Wiig. And you got your good parts right there. Okay? Everything else is trash. And a waste of time. It was just too stretched out and long for me. Okay? I want you to press that like button. I want you to subscribe, share, all that. You know I'm going to return.